So any questions? Anybody seen the same issues that we've seen? The depth?
Yeah. It's 5 meters below the surface and 2 meters above the substrate. It's precisely what's in Levy's paper. The distances, even the depth, actually. The lagoon was just perfect to do what Levy did.
Thank you for your presentation. It was really informative. My question is, in determining the target areas, did you check certain factors if it were replicating the same as for the nursery area to ensure its better growth?
A good question. I think one of the things that really ensures that it should be okay, we expect, is the fact that we take corals that come from the target area. So they've already settled there, it's just that they got knocked over by waves. So by taking our donor colonies from the target reef, we make sure that it is the right coral for that reef. Because obviously, naturally, if it wasn't the right coral, it would just die straight away. So just sort of break it up, give it a bit of a boost in the nursery, and put it back on a reef when it's bigger and stronger, and attach it solidly.
We also have temperature loggers installed as well in the nursery and on the target reef, so we can compare the temperature to make sure it's really, really similar as well.
And what percentage is your target survival rate after step 2?
Well, the target is obviously the bigger the better, but we just don't know.
Yeah, we don't know what to expect. It is very experimental. Obviously, we would love for them all to be alive. It probably won't happen. But I mean, in the nursery, we've had around 80–90%. So hopefully something similar. Hopefully.
We expected actually.
We'll let you know.
Okay.
Yeah, with the nursery, we didn't expect it to be as high as 80. After a year in the project, we thought, well, we might drop down to 60 or something like that. That was more realistic. It was quite a big surprise that it's still at 80s.
Yes, and sadly, all databases as new as yours, we don't have like the good measurements you guys are taking. But the survival rate is very similar to ours.
Yeah.
The interference, which we find very strong.
Alright.
But yeah, so we want to reset our methodology and start to do a test. So try and kind of use your kind of method to try and help us have 2 projects or methods as well, show the measurements. So you should back up your data.
That's cool. That's really good.
It is really what we work with.
Yeah. So obviously the method is not ours, but we want to share it. As far as we're concerned, as like you can use it. But we've referenced Levy's paper and Lindahl's sort of what we're doing. But yeah, that was one of the main things we wanted to share with you guys. It's working, so why not? You know, you'd be more than welcome to use it.
And
We are very similar locations.
Yeah.
Just doing a nice comparison with how.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that'd be really useful.
it would be quite interesting to see whether the growth rates differ in different lagoons and different atolls.
So your approach is kind of, obviously, without using more cable ties, we thought just having like a little net system beneath it just to catch them, so at least they don't fall into sand.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
At least one of the corals will act as like an anchor.
Yeah.
So we can catch it, stop it falling into the sand at least.
Very good. Probably something
That
we
is
might do.
really nice. Yeah.
Very simple. Yeah.
One of the things that we didn't mention at the talk, but quite important, is the fact that if you do start a project, it helps if you have a cutoff time for the sort of guest front end. So for us, it's 3 years. After 3 years, we don't report anymore. So each guest has coverage for 3 years.
Speak up.
Oh, speak up. Can't hear me. Sorry. So we monitor the growth for 1 year, then we monitor the survival for another 2, and then that's it. That allows us to focus more on growing the coral and sort of achieve a bigger result.
Sorry again for the depth. Are you planning to put in the same depth? Step 2. Are you planning to put it at the same depth?
Slightly shallower.
It will be shallower.
As Vaidotas said, it's the colonies that we take from the donor reef. It's the same target reef, so we're going to put them back on the same spot. So we know that they can live there. We've moved them a little bit deeper. It's only about 1 or 2 meters deeper, so it's not hugely deeper. And then we will put them back. So we're hoping it's not too much of a change. But it's something that we'll measure as well. We'll always measure the depth.
Sorry.
Invite them to come and have a look.
Yeah, so Stephen, our general manager, says that everybody's welcome to sort of arrange a visit and see the nursery in person as well.
Hello, my name is Nizam Ibrahim and I'm from Marine Research Center, and first of all I would like to thank Agnesia and Afa from IUCN and from Maldives University for hosting this. I think this is an excellent project which you guys are doing. As we see a lot of coral bleaching in certain parts like Madagascar and some parts of Coral Triangle, and I think rehabilitation should be a priority. I think the success of this project, I think you guys want, I mean, we can actually determine the success after this has been transferred to the actual coral reefs, right? I think, I hope it will be a success too. And yes, from the MRC side, we like to congratulate you guys for doing this. I mean, this is, I have seen some projects where rehabilitation, for example, the propagation and things, but I think this is an excellent, I think this should be taken as an example for the students like Fizal who are doing research on coral reef. And how success you think this will be after this coral reefs are actually transferred to the sites where you want intend it to be?
Well, as scientists are, we're a little bit sort of, you know, we're not sure. We expect some mortality, but we hope it will be successful. That's the only thing we can do. Try our best and sort of and look for ways that work. But
Where Levy did it,
yeah,
Levy's done it, yeah? So what
No.
was the success rate for Levy when he did this?
in particular in the rope nursery itself, he saw 80s, 90s as well. So, but
Has he transferred them yet?
no, that's the big opportunity. He didn't transfer them. But thank you
There's-
really
there's
much
several-
for the nice comments from MRC side. Really, it's a lot for us.
That's the thing, we don't really know. Because we've not seen very much that's been shared,
Yep.
we're not sure, and that's why we wanted to share this, partly because we're curious of what other people have actually found, and that's why we wanted to put it out as well. It's on our website, you can see our mortality and everything.
We found that a lot of the, well, we've contacted one of the biggest projects in the world with the rope nurseries. We asked for some basic info. They did not actually provide us with much. They said, oh, we're publishing, so we can't share. But what we were asking for is very simple things, like what sort of works, you know, not the data that we could publish a paper with, but what works, what doesn't work. And they were kind of reluctant to actually share anything. They sort of dropped contact with us, which was disappointing. And it's sad, because a lot of people working on the same subject, making same mistakes and not communicating between each other. And we've seen it in various areas of science. It's just, for a cause like coral reefs, we need to sort of work together because we don't have that much time.
But I think in terms of CMARC, I think you were making the point there. You guys, you do share a lot of your data, and it is online. We've seen it, and the guests they can look at their frames as well. But as a whole, it's a huge project. As a whole, online, I've not seen I don't know if it is there. Not seen a specific survival mortality rate per species per frame. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the initial kind of studies were from 2006 when they started. And that data is old now. We work about 80%, but we are going to be fresh and new kind of method to study. So
Mm.
Yeah.
this kind of results. So something that is our kind of next step, trying to real one to get this kind of stuff. It is old, our database is old as well.
Yeah.
So we need to have a new breath of fresh air.
Mm.
I hope that answered your question. Anything else?
Yes, you started the rehabilitation because there was a decrease in coral cover in the target reef. Did you identify the cause for that?
We believe it's from El Nino events. Vaidotas has been on the resort for 3 years.
So what I've noticed from the point when I came is the fact that most of the colonies that we see are about, back then was 2013, about 3 years old, and judging by the size, except for parietes, which are extremely resilient to temperature. Most of the branching ones are gone, and the tables that are there are about 3 years old. So that made us basically believe that yes, it probably is El Nino, just judging by the colony size.
We can't 100% tell you that that's what it is. And I agree, it's a good question because we don't want to be restoring an area where obviously coral is not there. Obviously it's not there for a reason, and if we don't know that reason, it could be that we put the coral there and it doesn't survive. It's a very good question. But as far as we can sort of figure out, we believe it was the 2010 El Nino in particular that really damaged it. In which case, hopefully, the coral will be fine. And
there's a lot of recruitment, and what we see also is the parrotfish are sort of hindering it as well. The new corals that settle get eaten quite quickly, taken away. Also, we've got pincushion starfish occasionally eating small colonies of Poecilopora, small colonies of Digitifera.
Yeah, the recruitment rate is quite promising.
Thank you for the talk. Apologies, I arrived a little bit late. So I don't want to ask any questions that you may have already explained. I think it's very interesting, and I think you guys are doing some very good work. I also just want to make a couple of suggestions, if I may.
Yeah, of course.
With your growth rates, it would be useful if you also showed the error associated with growth so we could see the variability in growth rates. But also don't put too much emphasis solely on growth. I mean, the species of coral that are growing the fastest are often the ones that are the most susceptible to either increased stress due to temperature or siltation and other factors. I see a lot of the coral planting projects that are doing some really good work around the Maldives. A lot of the focus is on the fast-growing species of Acropora. However, what's also important on the reef is the diversity on the reef itself as well. And as you're fully aware, when the waters get hot, these are often the species that are dying. So also if you've got similar species, well, parts of the same colony that you're planting, you're going to have increased susceptibility to disease as well. Yeah. So a disease that might kill one portion that you've planted will kill all of them on the rope as well.
Yeah.
However, I do want to say, keep up the good work. It looks like you could get some good results. And also just to suggest that you monitor the survival rates after transplantation.
Yeah, we will do, yeah.
Yep. For 2 years post, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
I completely agree with what you said.
Same, likewise, yeah.
It's something that we wanted to do. We didn't just want to grow the branches. Yes, they grow quickly. But what we've also found is that our guests, they don't really want something that grows fast. They want to do something that's interesting and weird. And what we're really trying to do is, because of the rope method, the way that we do it, when you untwist the rope and put the coral in, it's got quite a natural gripping ability. So we can actually put submassives and things in there as well, which do grow much, much slower. We've got a couple of lines. You can see the green one. We think it's Parietes cylindrica. We're not sure of the species. And we've just put a favid in as well, which actually seems to be growing quite well, which we've not really seen anywhere else. I don't know how difficult it would be to cable tie it onto a frame or something like that, but in the rope it actually works quite well. So we're trying to play with different species. We've got about 20 different ones so far in the nursery, and we do try and get some different ones. In terms of the genetic diversity of what we're putting back on the reef, again, I agree. We need it to be nice and diverse in terms of species, but as well as that in terms of the genetics. Sort of using the same genet on one rope. Obviously, it's making a bit of a monoculture, perhaps. But the idea behind that was if the corals do grow quite large and they meet each other, they're going to fuse. But what we'll do is we do use different genets for sort of the same species. We might have 4 different genets in the nursery. So we're trying to mitigate it as much as possible, as well by taking the colonies from that target reef and putting them back.
Sorry. Yeah, great. As I'm sure you're aware, heterogeneity on the reef in terms of diversity of structure is also very important for the fish communities that you're going to attract as well. I also have some suggestions which I'll be happy to talk to you about afterwards if you want some information on, for example, some software for modelling 3D dimensions underwater, and also for your growth. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.